Puerto Rico's governor says he will step down on August 2nd. It comes after days of protests following a scandal over chat messages. Ricardo Rosselló and male members of his staff made homophobic and sexist comments in group chat messages, which were obtained by the Puerto Rico Center for Investigative Journalism. And they include more than 900 pages of messages, including one that joked about the bodies of Hurricane Maria victims at the morgue. The governor apologized for the messages. But Puerto Ricans say the latest scandal was just the final straw after suffering through years of fiscal mismanagement, severe cuts to public education, and the aftermath of Maria. That frustration was evident when I traveled to Puerto Rico earlier this year. I sat down with Rosselló, and he acknowledged the tough road that Puerto Rico has been on. Let's talk about debt. Debt has long been an issue for this island, and I think the number's around 70 billion is what, that's an accurate number. So what's the strategy now to manage that debt with this oversight board making recommendations on that front?
Well, first we have to establish a fiscal plan. Fiscal plan has certain measures. We're committed to reducing costs. That was something we did even prior to the oversight board. That was part of our commitment, and we've done so. But
what got cut in that effort to reduce costs? I mean, universities, education, services are the things that people tick off.
The oversight board established that you needed to cut from the university, and there needed to be cuts in healthcare, for example, and some other places. For me, the priority is education. That is why I wanted to have an education reform here in Puerto Rico. I think that the way you move forward as society is if it's an educated and healthy society.
How many schools have you closed? 100 and?
Oh no, it's more. It's in the past 2 years, it's about 360. So
people might hear, listen, education is my priority, and I've closed just under 400 schools for a bunch of children, frankly, who were out of school for a long time in the aftermath of a storm, and say those two things seem completely contradictory.
Well, listen, Soledad, transformation is sometimes messy, and sometimes you have to make certain decisions that I know taken in individual format seem harsh, but the objective is, my objective is that I can give every kid in Puerto Rico the opportunity to have a quality education. They didn't have that in the past. The decision to cut that enormous amount was placed by the oversight board, right? So this is an oversight board decision. As I said—
Do you support it?
I support more investment on education in general, but that means that we need to have the flexibility to do that.
I'm sorry, forgive me, but do you support the oversight board did drastic cuts to universities? Do you support that?
There are cuts that need to be made that are unnecessary expenditures. There are cuts that don't need to be made and that I worry will affect the education process.
When I talk to people here, they talk about just not believing in their government. The federal government, the local government, they just don't believe it. They say, listen, we've been dealing with debt for 20 years, right? And everybody says, oh, we're gonna fix it, and it never gets fixed. Projects start and then they stop, and they just feel like they've been continually lied to. And it's a sense of, when people lose their faith, it's a very sad thing. It's a sad thing. How do you go and layer on top of that, I think, psychological damage from being in the middle of a devastating natural disaster? How do you rebuild faith and trust and help people who are struggling emotionally with the aftermath?
It takes time, Soledad. I mean, I'm not good enough of a spokesperson to just stand and say, just believe me because I'm saying it. I am trying to be the best executive and the best leader I can be, and saying, here's what we're doing, and here are the results that we're showing. And that is what I can do right now, because you're talking. I think the premise of your question is right on. This has been going on for decades, and people have lost their faith. I actually ran on the commitment to transform Puerto Rico. We were marred in debt and fiscal crisis and economic crisis before the storm. The storm just accentuated that. But my view is that path of transformation still needs to go on. We cannot stay in this position after the crisis, after the storm, and say, well, let's just rebuild things as they were. No, I think we need to be more aggressive. I think we need to change chronic problems we've had in Puerto Rico right now, and even if it's tough, we got to do it.